There is a renewed sense of pride in Ann Arbor. A familiar face takes over the football program.
Harbaugh, touchdown, Wolverines.
He has reestablished some traditions, but the Michigan expectations remain the same. Jim Harbaugh, quarterback for Bo Schembechler. Now U of M fans want to know if he can win like him. The Michigan Spring Game is next on the Big Ten Network. It may be just a spring scrimmage, but it is filled with anticipation and hope. Ann Arbor is decorated with sunny skies, warmer temperatures, and of course maize and blue. It's the Michigan Spring Game here on the Big Ten Network. Hi, everyone. Alongside my partner, Michigan National Champ Marcus Ray, I'm Matt Shepard. There is an obsession, a fascination over head coach Jim Harbaugh. You've been around his spring practices. How are they different, do you think?
They're all about competition and all about developing TNT, and that stands for toughness and talent, something that will give this Michigan team a chance to win close games and win on the road. But toughness and talent also, TNT also stands for touchdowns and turnovers, something this team has been lacking in the last couple of seasons.
They don't lack playmakers, and they don't lack position battles. Let's start at the quarterback spot.
Well, the quarterback position right now is wide open. You see Shane Morris. He's been around the program. He's been improving. He's been working on his accuracy. He has a strong arm. But Alex Malzone, the freshman, ever since he arrived on campus, he's been a big threat to that position, and I think he's been the most efficient at the quarterback position so far.
Speaking of talent, Jabril Peppers played just 3 games a year ago. It's good to see him back from injury.
It's definitely good to see Jabril back. He is the piece that's missing. He brings a different fire, enthusiasm, and energy to a Michigan secondary, which didn't create a lot of turnovers last year, but he has a Sunday skill set that this secondary has been missing.
There are no assured positions. The message is earn it every single day. We'll get a glimpse of how far Team 136 has come when we come back after this. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. And a lot of alum here already. As packed as you can get for a spring scrimmage. The head coach of the Maize team is Tim Drevno, and he's with our own Suann Roback. And he will join us here shortly. The blue team won the coin flip. They deferred. So Alex Malzone, the freshman out of Farmington Hills, Michigan, leads the Maize team on offense first. And they start on the ground with a nice hole up the middle and busting to the outside. Davion Smith into blue territory near the 40-yard line. Huge hole and a pickup of 34.
First out of bounds by Jared Wilson. First down, Maize team.
Very good start for the Maize offense, which I think has the advantage as far as the two offenses. But Davion Smith has a great run up the middle, but that's because Michigan is finding a way now to get an extra blocker at the point of attack. Pay close attention to the blocking scheme. Every time Harbaugh sends a guy in motion, someone is going to be there.
Following Mason Cole on the left side of that offensive line, the freshman All-American, a screen set up, and the first flag of the day. Earlier today, Tim Drevno, the Maize coach, spoke with our own Suann Roback. Here's what he had to say.
All right, thanks, Coach. You've had 14 practices with these guys. This is a big one. What are you hoping to see today?
Just great execution, physical football play, no mental mistakes. Just go out and play and compete at a high level.
You know, a lot of the attention has been on the offensive side of the ball with the O-line, the quarterback position. For the quarterbacks, is this a chance for one of the guys to kind of separate himself from the pack?
Absolutely. Every day we come out, you roll the balls out and see who the best guy is, and we compete. So this is a day that could really define some things for the program and as we head into the training camp.
And you've been moving guys around on the O-line. Do you plan to do some flip-flopping with that today?
The alignment's pretty set today, but we're always trying to make things better.
Thanks. Have fun.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, Tim Drevno, the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach for this team. But today, the blue head coach, his team on defense gave up that big 34-yard gain, but then made an adjustment and stifled Davion Smith for a -3 after the penalty. Malzone out of the pistol. another big gain for the Mays Club.
You see the quick throw by Malzone, and that's what he brings to the table, the ability to make the far throw to the wide side of the field. It's just a quick step drop, gets it out there, and if you're a defensive back, Jordan Lewis, you have to be able to make that play. It's either feast or famine. You either make that play or you tackle the catch.
J.U. Chesson, who had 14 catches a year ago, and Jed Fish, who's the passing coordinator for this club and the wide receiver coach, says he's got great speed. Going to make a lot of impact for this offense. Now, just a reminder that the quarterbacks are live. Everybody is live in this scrimmage. So those quarterbacks want to get it and get rid of it, too.
Yeah, they need to develop some toughness at the quarterback position. When you have young players, you want to get them exposed to as much contact as possible, and spring ball is the time to do that. Now that they have several quarterbacks on the roster, the depth chart is a lot deeper.
It's a 2nd down and 8 on the very first possession of the day for the Mays Club. Malzone, good pocket, and now he'll run with it and drag down from behind at the 29-yard line. Good play from the backside by Ryan Glasgow. Malzone has looked pretty good as a freshman early on. Shane Morris, the incumbent, just 2 career starts under his belt. And we'll see Wilton Spate a little bit later on. Another big, tall quarterback who's got a good arm, Marcus.
I expect to see all 3 of these quarterbacks have a pretty good day because they have a good system in place, and it's going to be very competitive. Which quarterback is going to protect the football and end every possession with a kick?
A loss of 2 on the play. It's 3rd and 10. On a quick slant and a good defensive play. Maurice Ways, the intended receiver, broken up by Brandon Watson, the sophomore from Wilmington, Delaware.
Broken up by Brandon Watson.
As young quarterbacks tend to stare down wide receivers. And right there, Brandon Watson, formerly a safety last year, converted to cornerback this year to add some depth to the position. Did a great job breaking on the football, sticking his hand right in the breadbasket and breaking up that pass.
No punting, no field goals. 4th and 10 for Malzone and the Mays team. Incomplete, intended for Chase Winovich, the sophomore tight end out of Jefferson Hills, Pennsylvania.
Broken up by DeMonte Thomas. The ball goes over to the blue team. There is a flag on the field.
Michigan sending a blitz up the middle. That's a ball that needs to be complete.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Definitely. Now, Winovich is new to the position, but there's still no excuse. That was a great pass by Malzone. Winovich has to look it in. Saw DeMonte Thomas on the coverage. Michigan's playing a lot more man-to-man with the addition of Greg Jackson and Mike Zordich.
There was a flag on the play, so that makes it 4th and 5. It was offsides against the blue team. And I had mentioned no field goals. There are field goals, just no punts, no kickoffs today. But they will work some of that special teams in. Malzone and the Mays team will go forward on 4th and 5. Last year, Michigan about 38% on 4th downs. Double tight. Bubble screen. It's Chesson. And a double pass. Lunging throw is Smith, but incomplete.
I like the call, man. I like the trickery, gutsy call by the Mays offense. And on defense, you can't fall asleep. On 4th down, you have to expect something going on, especially on a quick pass like that, which wasn't well blocked. But a great call, terrible pass, but great effort by.
That was a jump pass, Marcus. Look at Smith is wide open. Absolutely wide open. DJ Durkin, who is the head coach of the Mays team. So first opportunity for Shane Morris in the Blue Club. Minimal gain. No one wearing headsets from the coaching staff today. Everybody's on the field. There's nobody up in these booths. Ball carrier was Wyatt Shulman, the junior from Heartland, Michigan, played at Catholic Central. Shane Morris, who played at Warren De La Salle, at the helm of the blue team. Jim Harbaugh, who's not being a head coach, but he will determine the length of the fourth quarter as the commissioner. Morris with his first throw, and it's a bullet to the 25.
You see Harbaugh out on the field. He wants to make sure that his quarterbacks feel his presence, and he wants to have an opportunity to teach after every play. You see him standing in the huddle, and this offense is going to be built around running the football and throwing quick passes, but he wants to hear how the quarterback calls the plays. He wants to feel the energy of the huddle. He's involved, and he's just not a head coach. He is still a position coach, and he teaches his guys every play.
Just the second ever head coach to coach both at Stanford and Michigan. The other fielding Yost. Morris on 3rd down and 5. And he had a little window, but Bo Deaver was there, and he hauled it in. Pretty toss, and a nice catch just outside the numbers.
Even though they didn't get the first down, that's a great throw by Shane Morris. He wants to prove he can make the great throws, and he has a strong arm. So, like I said in the open, he wants to put some heat on it, but now he has learned with Jim Harbaugh being there how to throw touch passes. And as long as Michigan's offense ends every possession with a punt, a field goal, or an extra point, Jim Harbaugh is satisfied.
They would have punted here, so what they do is they move the football 40 yards the other way. Rather than punt the ball, they move it 40 yards and give the ball to the Maize team here at their own 30-yard line.
See if this Maize offense can get the running game back on with Davion Smith. I think the Maize offense has the advantage, and as far as offense is concerned, but the blue defense is heavily loaded with guys that have a lot of experience. So really, to me, this looks like the Maize team versus the Maize offense versus the blue defense.
Derek Green is in at tailback. That's not a bad option either. The junior from Richmond, Virginia. He will get the call. Try the left side. Squeezes down to about the 31-yard line or so. Good gap penetration by Willie Henry, the senior from Cleveland, Ohio.
In my opinion, Willie Earl Henry has had the best spring out of all the defensive linemen. I mean, he's tough to block. Cleveland, Glenville, Tar, Blooder. And he's coached by Greg Madison, Will Carr. Those guys are high on number 69 right now. You saw his penetration and the disruption and chaos he creates.
Remember what he did last year against Utah. First interception, first TD on the very same play. Malzone with a bubble screen. Defended well. They're trying to get the ball to Chason as much as they possibly can because of his playmaking skills. Here's the offensive returning starters for Michigan, as selected by them as returning starters by Michigan. They're the ones who chose this. And you see some of the offensive line, Braden and Cole and Glasgow. This offensive line, Marcus, should be greatly improved.
Oh, I agree. Those guys have a lot of experience. They've been through the tough times. Now there's been a changing of the guard, and they're getting taught how to play football now.
3rd down and 7. Malzone up top. He's got Ways, and he's got him inside the 40-yard line. Now is it picked off? It is. It's intercepted. Well defended, and Brandon Watson has made 2 nice plays early on here for the blue defense.
It's actually a great pass by Malzone. Look at the protection. But see, Watson stays with it. He plays the receiver's hands in the air, and then Jared Wilson comes over as an eraser and puts his face on the wide receiver, Ways. But that's a play this secondary wouldn't have made a season ago. And Brandon Watson didn't even get a lot of playing time last year. So just you can already see some improvement at the quarterback position and in the secondary.
Just 5 interceptions for Michigan a year ago. Morris under center. A double pass. Back to Morris. But didn't get the blocking that he needed.
The senior, Joe Bolden, heads up on defense. He snuffed it out. Joe Bolden is a player that is very smart. And every time in practice, Matt, he yells out the plays. He knows what's coming. And he's seen this offense now for 14 practices. But he's a heads-up football player. And he has to be a leader. And to make a lot of plays, you got to communicate and let the guys know what's going on the back end.
Averaged 8.5 tackles per game a year ago, right around the top 10 in the Big Ten. Offset eye behind Morris on a 2nd down and 10. Another quick toss. snowed under. Good job by the Mays defense.
Pass complete to Amari
Darbo, the receiver there. There's the Michigan defensive starters returning from a year ago as chosen by the Wolverines. Bolden will be key in the middle. And the question now remains, who takes over the big play capability of Jake Ryan?
Well, I'm thinking it's going to be Joe Bolden. He's going to have to be that leader. But Desmond Morgan returns off of a medical red shirt from last season, so you'll see a lot of Desmond. But those two guys are going to have to command that middle and be a major force in the run game and blitzing.
It's a 3rd down and 12. Would slant right to the hands and intercepted at the 50-yard line. A lot of heat on that toss right there.
Yeah, that ball should have been complete. Wide receiver was wide open, but a lot of interceptions that you see. Jerron Dukes, Columbus, Ohio product. He has to pull this ball down. But Shane throws a great pass. Probably could have took a little bit off of that, but tips and overthrows is how you create turnovers. And this kid, Delano Hill, I'm going to tell you right now, he has been a major problem for these quarterbacks this spring. I expect to see a lot of great things out of number 44.
Junior out of Detroit Cass-Tech, who helped his high school win back-to-back state titles. Gives the Mays team the ball inside blue territory. Smith will keep it right there. Smith, the offensive player of the year in the state of Ohio, his senior year, rushed for almost 6,800 yards. Last year was held under wraps for the most part, hoping for a breakout season this year.
Yeah, Northeast Ohio produces a lot of great talent, and Smith definitely is one of those guys, but it's going to be tough for him to run the ball on this blue defensive front with Wormley, Henry, and Glasgow, guys with experience. But he did break out on that first run, and he's actually running the ball more downhill this year, man.
He's the lone tailback behind Alex Malzone, who Jed Fish says doesn't let things bother, very consistent. The toss to Ways. Ways looking for the edge, but he'll be wrapped up shy of the line of scrimmage. Well, you would expect, look, you're a defensive guy, you're a safety. You would expect defense to be way ahead of offense, especially at this time. We say that at the beginning of every football season, let alone the spring practice, right?
Yeah, well, defense is all about reacting, and offense is more about implementing your system and timing. But this defense has played together for a long time. And as a defender, once you see the same plays over and over for 14 practices, then you pretty much know what's coming.
3rd down and 11. 3 wide receiver set. Freddie Cantine's in the slot. Malzone will look the opposite way. And some miscommunication on the incompletion.
3rd down, expect to see a lot of man-to-man from this defense. These coaches are high on the secondary guys, and they believe that they can stay with these wide receivers. Once again, another 3 and out. And in the spring game, Matt, you really want to see execution on both sides of the ball. So you really don't. So these coaches don't want to see the offense have too much success or the defense have too much success, because then it'll become lopsided. But you want to see both sides of the ball make some plays.
When you talk about Greg Jackson, man-to-man defense, that's what he is known for. Spent the last 4 years with Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco. And his defensive backs are known for being physical forces. So the 40-yard punt, even though it wasn't there, they march it off 40 yards. From the 10-yard line. Not much happening up the ground, or up the middle, I should say, on the ground.
The ball carrier.
As we look at that blue offensive line, you see Logan Tooley Tillman, number 72. Juwan Bushel, Beatty, David Dawson. You see some young guys in there, but Ben Braden is the elder statesman. They need to get a push on that football, though.
That'll be the last play of this opening quarter. No blood drawn. Mays' team was able to move the football just a little bit, turned it over, though, and then at one point was kind of stymied by the blue defense when they got close to the red zone. Jim Harbaugh's team will pick it up where they left off in the second quarter when we come back to Ann Arbor after this. First play of the second quarter went for a -5 because Joe Bolden continues to blow things up. The Mays middle linebacker wears 35 in white. Really strong showing early on in this Michigan spring scrimmage. 3rd down and 14, 15 or so. Shadows of his own goal line, and Morris stumbles out past the 5 to about the 7. Maurice Hurst, the junior from Westwood, Massachusetts, making the call there.
See Hurst staying with the play. These defensive linemen now are staying in their rush lanes and attacking the quarterback, and that's pretty much a coverage sack. Shane Morris had to tuck and run because nothing was there down the field.
So we've seen a turnover. We've seen a number of punts. Move it 40 yards. And the Mays team will take over 1st and 10 for another chance.
See Coach Harbaugh, he's into it. I mean, he challenges these players every day, every play. He even demonstrates sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he'll get under center, take a few snaps just to demonstrate. I know he and Shane Morris had a debate about which hand should be on top of the football as a lefty versus a righty. It was an interesting conversation.
You can have that debate when you're a former All-American like Jim Harbaugh was. Derek Green looking for the edge. He's got it. And a good block up front by Mason Cole. Looking for big things from Derek Green, who had a broken collarbone. His second Big Ten game into the season against Rutgers. Last year, limited to just under 500 yards on the season. Big, strong kid, 5'11", 235.
With the addition of Tyrone Wheatley as the running backs coach, he's worked wonders with Derek Green and Davion Smith, and also Ty Isaac. You see Derek Green getting up the field, picking up 5 yards.
Wheatley rushed for almost 4,200 yards in his Michigan career. Green again squeezes through a hole inside the 40, close to a 1st down. Good block by Blake Bars to lead the way for that Michigan offensive line. A lot of different questions for that Michigan offensive line. And Tom Dienhart here of Big Ten Network joining us to talk about that offensive line and maybe a little bit more. Tom, good to have you, and happy holidays to you and yours. Let's talk about first the quarterback position. We've seen Malzone, we've seen Morris, and there might be somebody else starting for Michigan.
Yeah. I thought Malzone looked pretty good that first drive, but as you guys know, this is a position to be continued, of course. We'll see what happens. Shane Morris, you talked about Malzone, Wilton Spate. Of course, Jake Rudock, Matt, you're talking about the Iowa transfer coming in over the summer. He's going to be a big X factor, a guy I think the staff's going to count on to really contribute a lot this year.
Malzone throws a pick. Desmond Morgan to the 45-yard line. Second turnover for the Mays club. Besides the quarterback position, what else is most intriguing to you about this Michigan squad?
I think it's the offensive line. That's an area, of course, that's really struggled the last few years. I think there's a lot of talent. There's upward to 7 guys who can play. You know what? Kyle Kalis is going to be an intriguing guy. Mason Cole was a freshman All-American. So Harbaugh and this staff has got a lot of good tools to work with up front.
Tom, now with the Big Ten East being as competitive as it is, which 2 teams do you see making it to Indianapolis, and how does Michigan figure into that equation?
You know, the East is so loaded, Marcus. You got to go with Ohio State to defend that title this year. I think Michigan State's going to be right there as well. Out West, you know what, early on, I think I'm going to go with Wisconsin just because of the talent. They got a couple of back. If you look at the debits and credits in Madison, the new coach, Paul Chryst, he's got a lot to work with there.
How much has Jim Harbaugh impacted, not just the Big Ten, but college football in general?
You know, he's going to raise the bar for the entire sport, but the Big Ten in particular, to see him raise the bar recruiting-wise, again, he's going to push the envelope. Guys like Urban Meyer and James Franklin have already started to do that. It's all about talent procurement, and Harbaugh is going to really raise the level in Michigan. I think everybody else is going to be lifted up just by his presence.
A lot is made of the Big Ten teams setting up quote-unquote camps down in SEC territory. Jim Harbaugh is one of them. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's great. And among other things, it's about spreading your brand name, letting you know that you're going to be a national player when it comes to recruiting. For Harbaugh to do that, in some ways, it's almost like poking the bear. I think he's tweaking the nose of some of these schools in the Southeastern Conference. So again, it's about spreading the word. This is Jim Harbaugh. We're going to not just be a recruiting force Midwestern-wise. We're going to be recruiting force nationally, too.
Where would you rank Jim Harbaugh's 2015 coaching staff amongst the other Big Ten teams?
It's still kind of early, I think. At this point, it has to be at least a middle of the pack, I think, staff at this point. I love the hire of Jed Fish from the NFL to be the passing game coordinator. Getting DJ Durkin, of course, to run the defense was a nice move. And how about bringing back Tyrone Wheatley to coach the running backs? I heard you talk about Wheatley earlier in the broadcast, Marcus. He's going to be a guy that brings a lot to that position. That's got to step up, too. Let's see if Green to fulfill his potential. Of course, Smith has had a nice run early on here. So again, those running backs really need to take that next step this year.
We live in a microwave society. What is the realistic expectation for this Mason Blue squad?
You look at the schedule, you look at the talent back, you look at the Big Ten East. I know last year was a big disappointment here, but having said all that, I still think at the very least this is a 7-win team, maybe an 8-win team. The road games in the Big Ten, I think all 4 are winnable. The big one for me is going to be that opener when they go out to Utah.
Right.
Tough place to play, I tell you what. If they can come back from Salt Lake City with a win, that'll be a nice momentum boost. But again, guys, I think this is a 7 or an 8-win team.
15-yard line.
Again, Utah, you come home for 3 home games. The BYU visit's going to be big, and then your Big Ten opener at Maryland. Of course, Maryland's a team that came here and won last year. Michigan has to stop losing to teams like Maryland, teams like Minnesota, and teams like Rutgers.
Helps to have teams like Ohio State and Michigan State at home this year, too. Last year, second straight year that they played the Spartans in East Lansing. And it's not very often you get both those teams on the road in the same season.
And those are your measuring stick when you're Michigan. You want to measure yourself against the best right within your own division. You've got just up the road here in East Lansing. What D'Antonio's done there is remarkable. We all know that. And, of course, Urban Meyer, national championship last year. Again, that's who you're measuring yourself against. That's who you're competing with if you're Michigan. And, guys, don't forget about Penn State.
Right, James Franklin.
James
Really
Franklin.
good,
He's got the ball rolling out there in State College
Jerry
today.
Kill's done a nice job at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Tom, always do a great job here for us on the network. We appreciate it. Great to see you. Don't be a stranger.
Thanks, Tom. Good to see you.
Another flag on this play, which is kind of unusual. Michigan very good in terms of discipline a year ago. First in the Big Ten, second in the nation in average penalties per game, just under 4. While we were talking with Tom Diener, really nice feed to Darboh down the sideline from Shane Morris, but when incomplete, it was a good opportunity to show the skill set of both the man who threw it, the man who caught it. Here's the Mays team again on a 3rd down and 14 situation. Malzone throws it away from Derek Green.
Another man-to-man defense of coverage right there. And Malzone did a nice job of getting rid of the football. Not to take the sack.
Yep. Here's Jim Harbaugh's coaching staff that we talked about. Drevno as the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach. Jed Fish was the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, Blake Bortles in 13 games threw for over 3,000 yards, had a completion percentage of 59%. DJ Durkin, 5 years at Florida, 2 as a DC, 3 years with Jim Harbaugh at Stanford as a defensive end coach and special teams coach. John Baxter is the special teams coach. He spent a lot of time at USC as Michigan goes to the ground. So there's a lot of talent and a lot of experience along that side. Like Greg Jackson, we've already mentioned. Mike Zordich there as a secondary coach. And I like the fact that Greg Madison was retained and he's the defensive line coach because this defense had some really good numbers a year ago. Mark.
Yes, they sure did. They finished up somewhere in the top 10 or around 10th in total defense. And their only problem was they just didn't create a lot of turnovers, but they kept Michigan in the game. But this is a who's who of coaching staffs right here. And there are football coaches and then there are guys coaching football. This is a coaching staff.
And his defense ranked among the top 23 of the last 4 years in total defense. On the ground. Minimal gain there. It'll bring up a 3rd down. But first, let's go to Sue-Ann Roback. She's on the sidelines with a former Wolverine signal caller.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Yeah, we're here with Drew Henson. Lots of Michigan former players, and pleased to have you join us for a minute here. What are you thinking of what you've seen so far?
Well, it's just great to be back. I love the fact that they are playing a real game today. 4 quarters and live on the quarterback, just like Coach Harbaugh used to have it when he played. We had 350 former players here last night for our team meeting, and it's a great time to catch up, and there's a lot of excitement going on.
Is that the reason you felt the need to come back? Because you're not even in this area anymore. You're saying you're scouting for the Yankees.
Yes, and it just worked out work-wise to get up here for the weekend to catch up. And it's been about 5 or 6 years since I got up for the spring game, so it's always great when you come back. And the stadium, the scene never gets old.
It's pretty awesome. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys.
Speaking of strong arms, Drew Henson, one of the strongest we've seen, and he mentioned the 350 ex-players coming back. A lot of them in the stands here, as you see, well over 35,000 here at Michigan Stadium. And of course, you were there too at Chrysler Center last night, Marcus, rubbing elbows with some of your ex-teammates and some of the guys that you used to follow and guys who before you followed you after.
Yeah, it was a wonderful event just to see all those guys come back as a family and try to reestablish the concept of team and rally behind Coach Harbaugh, and just to discuss future Michigan business and to try to get more guys to come back and keep them involved.
Malzone leads the Mays team yet again. A little wiggle on the outside to pick up some extra yardage by Freddie Canteen, the sophomore who last year had just 5 catches, but one of them were for a touchdown. He picks up 6 on that play.
The reason you see a bubble pass like this on first down is so that it keeps Michigan out of a negative play situation. And a bubble pass is just a quick pass to the outside. You need great blocking, but it's very similar to a run play in a sense.
Derek Green, the running backs outside the first play of the day from Davion Smith. Haven't seen a whole lot of big holes. The defense has done a nice job of making sure they're reading the proper reads and filling the hole as well.
Yeah, and another thing, Matt, when you have a draft and you split the talent up equally on both sides, you can't expect the offense to have a great performance because they're used to playing as a unit, especially up front with the offensive line and the quarterback and his wide receivers. Defense is a little different. You can mix and match some guys in there and still have success.
That's a good point. Kyle Kalis is the center here for the Mays team. Malzone, I don't know if it was a broken play or not, Marcus, but not a whole lot happening on the edge. Got him up to 15, 16. Royce Jenkins-Stone, the senior linebacker, making the tackle.
Desmond Morgan comes wide open, free on the blitz, and you see the miscommunication at the line of scrimmage, so Malzone had to just make do. But that goes back to what I was saying. Offensive linemen need to communicate and identify the Mike backer and set the protection and set the blocking scheme. So you're not going to see a lot of that, but more importantly, you want to see these kids having fun and executing the fundamentals, the blocking, the tackling, and the communication.
Morris leads the blue offense out onto the field. An offense last year just wasn't potent enough. You mentioned it in our open, averaging just 21 points per game, a little bit more than 330 yards per contest. That doesn't strike fear in a lot of defenses. They've got to be better and be able to move the football more consistently, don't they?
They have to be a lot better. And when you establish a run game, something Michigan, I believe, is going to do this year with their veteran offensive line, now you can set up the play-action passes, and then you can go vertical. And once you force teams to load the box, to get 8 guys in the box, then you create one-on-one matchups on the outside, and that's when you see the vertical passes, and that's why Michigan's trying to go deep.
So after the virtual punt, the blue team takes over the 44. Pressure comes, and down goes Shane Morris. Lawrence Marshall, the sophomore from Southfield.
You want to talk about a kid that's going to be special? We're talking about number 93, Lawrence Marshall. Local kid. He's put on a little bit of weight. Once he gets a motor and becomes an every down guy, he's going to be one of the big-time defensive ends in this Michigan program. But you see the swing move to get the penetration. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
He's got an NFL body.
Yes, he does.
What you're saying, yeah, I agree with you. You can tell. A little 3-point, 4-point, or a 2-point stance on that edge. That's a big bonus. A little wiggle to bounce to the outside. Antonio Whitfield, flag on the play. Whitfield's an interesting story. He joined the football team in the spring after starting his athletic career here in Ann Arbor on the track and field squad.
Let me tell you something about Whitfield. He is going to be a pretty good little running back. And he made a lot of plays this spring. Every time you looked up, he was squirting out of there, and he's hard to see behind the line of scrimmage.
That's holding against Logan Tully-Tillman.
See, from Canal, Winchester, Ohio, southeast Columbus. Speedster, something this offense is lacking. at the running back position. A guy who can hit the home run.
Timeout on the field on the part of the Mays squad. They can hit the home run, but they've got some guys, I will say this, they've got some options.
Yes, they do.
I mean, you want to have options as a play caller. You want to have the opportunity to use different types of back with Ty Isaac and with guys like Derek Green and Davion Smith. And now, as you mentioned, Antonio Whitfield. There's a lot of different things you can do, a lot of different plays that you can design as a play caller. Registration is now open for the 2015 BTN Big 10K. Represent your big school on July 25th in Chicago. The 10K and 5K races include a post-race fan fest that includes Big Ten mascots, food, and more. Register today at btnbig10k.com. The Michigan band out, and I think the weather helps an awful lot for so many people to show up, but I think the anticipation, and as you and I talked about in our open, just a chance to see their head coach, Jim Harbaugh, and some of the wrinkles that he's put into, the fact that he holds so many players accountable, the different way he goes about his business. I think people are enthralled by that.
Oh, they're enthralled by it, and Harbaugh mania is real. I mean, Harbaugh is the type of coach that when they have competition drills in practice, whoever wins the competition is the one that gets rewarded by training and running while the losers stand back and watch.
Morris, a little sidearm throw that was a little high and behind Ian Bunting, the sophomore backup tight end from Hinsdale, Illinois. Harbaugh impressing a lot of alumni, especially ex-coaches too. Lloyd Carr, an honorary captain, of course, won the national championship in 1997 for the school. And Gary Mueller, also an honorary captain. And one of the best guys you'll ever talk to about just about anything. Just a great guy. I mean, really love the business with Gary Mueller. Third down at 28. Morris up top. His man has got to beat it inside the 45-yard line. Amara Darboh reaching out, hauling it in, moving the chains on the far side with a plus 36 for the Blue.
Darboh's going to be, in my opinion, the primary wide receiver in this offense, replacing Devin Funchess. But as a defensive coach, a defensive player on 3rd and 28, there's no excuse for giving up a big play. And now this Blue offense has momentum. But Shane Morris showed you right there, he can make the touch pass, and Darboh has the speed on the perimeter to get behind defenders.
Jed Fish says Darboh is an exciting player, allows them to stretch the field. He's got that type of speed. Ball at the 37. And this one is incomplete, intended for Jake Budd. Good defensive play by Jeremy Clark. I love the fact that the tight end position, Jake Budd, if he stays healthy, this guy's an NFL talent too, don't you think, Marcus?
Jake Budd definitely is an NFL talent guy, and he's a leader. He's been a special player since he arrived from Pickerington, Ohio, another Southeast Columbus product. But he reminds me of a combination of Mark Campbell and Jeremy Tooman, two guys I played with that played in the National Football League. He's going to be a special piece for this offense.
Big Ten freshman team, 2013, the Mays blitzes, but a flag on the play. Illegal motion against the Blue.
Things change, Matt. Things change, Matt, once you go live bullets with these quarterbacks. It's different than practice.
Well, you also talked about the camaraderie or the ability to mesh with one another. That's what this offense and offensive line is really all about. I don't know how much Tully Tillman plays with David Dawson, Graham Glasgow, and Ben Pliska, during practices, but I mean sometimes that is a factor. Tillman, by the way, picked up his second foul, second flag on that last play. And this one is incomplete, intended for Darboh.
Well, the one thing Tim Drevno did this spring is he mixed and matched different combinations of offensive linemen. No one truly knew if they were in the first group or second group. It was always 1A, 1B,
right,
1C, so everyone got a lot of reps. So they're going to figure out which guys are going to be the best 5 on that offensive line. And I believe this year they're going to be very solid. They're going to know who to block, and they're going to sustain their blocks a lot longer.
Well, Drevno and Harbaugh chart every player's rep. They assign a grade to every player every single day. 3rd and 15 for the Blue. They'll draw, but not enough.
Antonio
Whitfield with the carry there.
Joe Bolden on the bench.
Well, that's a safe call on 3rd and long at midfield, especially when you can punt the football and still maintain a field position advantage.
That will be important too. I mean, getting the ball inside the 20-yard line, forcing opposing offenses to go the length of the field. After this virtual punt, it would have been inside the 20. 16 times Michigan did it a year ago. That number needs to be higher.
The number needs to be a lot higher because that gives you a greater chance to win. If an offense has to go 80 and 90 yards, eventually they're going to make a mistake and the defense is going to catch a break. But that was one of the things Michigan didn't do last year, was sustain drives. They turned the football over a lot. Or once they got closer to the 30 and 20-yard line near the red zone, they found a way to shoot themselves in the foot, and that's why they didn't score a lot of points.
Michigan a -16 in the turnover battle. I don't care what level you're playing at. You don't win football games, at least that many, with that type of ratio.
Definitely lowers the percentages.
And here's another penalty against the white team.
62. 5-yard penalty.
Blake Bars, the senior out of Nashville, Tennessee. So the Mays backed up inside their own 5. Bars, whose father played football at Notre Dame, his uncle played football and hockey at the same school. Brother, defensive end at Penn State. His grandfather played football here for Michigan. Malzone in the shadows of his own goal line, close to the 10-yard line. Davion Smith with a block, and then Chase Winovich hauled it in with a pickup of 5. But we're under a minute to go in the first half.
Those are the type of throws that earned Malzone the advantage going into this spring game, is the ability to read the entire field and then make the check down throw when necessary. But when quarterbacks force the ball and try to take something that's not there, then they get into trouble. But Malzone showed you a little bit of his poise, but his back to his very own end zone, and he found Winovich on the check down, and that keeps drives alive. That gives your offense a chance to have a chance.
Well, Jim Harbaugh said, look, he's dedicated to being a leader. His passion to compete brings out the best in not just himself, but in his teammates, and that's big. And then Jedd Fisch told us, hey, listen, he's won 32 games. He only lost 1 in high school. So that's pretty consistent. He's constantly looking to get better. When other players are seeing their quarterback looking for ways to get better, you can't shortchange any drill or yourself.
No, you can't. And he also has a short memory. So if he makes a mistake, he bounces back. And he does come from that winning pedigree.
2nd down and 10 for him. A toss to Derek Green. Defensive line did a nice job of stringing that play out, Marcus.
Did a great job of stringing that play out, but the offensive lineman definitely got down the field and blocked the defensive backs, and that play was 1 block away from springing. But this is an example of where you see good offense and good defense at the same time, and that's what you want as a coach. Defensive lineman running, offensive lineman running, trying to find people to block on every play.
Yeah, but you'd also like a score. I mean, you want your offense to eventually punch it in. This is 3rd down and 11. Both these offenses, the Mays and the Blue team, have been staring at 3rd down and longs throughout the early afternoon. Malzone out of the gun. A drop off. And a good tackle made there. That's the one thing you're seeing. Blake Countess comes up. That's a cornerback making a safety-like hit right there.
That's a good play by Countess because he made a play in space. Countess has become a forgotten man, with everyone being excited about Jabril Peppers and Jordan Lewis has emerged. But 2 years ago, this Blake Countess had 6 interceptions.
Yeah, he was first team All Big Ten. In 2011, he was All Big Ten freshman team. Last year, he was honorable mention All Big Ten. So he's a player. There's no question about it. The 5th-year senior out of Owings Mills, Maryland.
Wearing the #2 jersey in honor of Charles Woodson.
Looks good. Be a lot better with a rose between his teeth. Charles Woodson showed back in 1997. Let's see what this Blue offense does with about a half a field to work, with a couple of receivers to the right of Shane Morris. Joe Carriage wears 36, and he'll lead the way for Shulman. Using his strength to dive inside the 45.
Wyatt Shulman, the ball carrier.
Then Gideon in on the tackle, but Shulman picks up 9 on the ground.
And Dennis
Shulman has a pretty effective skill set, and he reminds me of Aaron Shea, where he can play H-back, he can play full-back, he can pass, protect, and catch out of the backfield. He's going to be a weapon for this offense.
Good-sized kid, 6'3", 244 pounds. Timeout Blue, by the way. But 6'3", 244 pounds. That can be a mismatch if you got some decent speed like he has, if he's matched up with a backer, matched up with a safety who wants to come up into the box.
Yeah, definitely a mismatch in the run game and the pass game. And don't be fooled. He can even make you miss. But he's a kid that's always going to fall forward when he has the football. And Jim Harbaugh is going to find ways to utilize his skill set.
We talked about the toughness. A 3-year starter both ways for Tom Mack and the Shamrocks of Catholic Central.
You're not seeing a lot of blitzing in this game because, number one, Michigan's defensive coordinator, DJ Durkin, doesn't want to show his hand. And then also, you want to give the kids base defensive calls so they can just line up and play.
Yeah, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room here today, do you?
No, you're not game planning against Utah yet.
2nd down and 1. Morris on a quick slant, incomplete. Intended for Jerron Dukes, the junior from Columbus, Ohio.
See, Shane Morris has a strong arm. And the one thing he has is confidence that he can defeat tight coverage. That's another great pass. Dukes has to bring that down. That's his second drop. But I think the Mays offense has the advantage at wide receiver. When you really go through that roster, they have guys that have actual game experience and that are probably second and third on the depth chart.
But having the strong arm doesn't mean everything. We'll get to that here in a moment as Morris works out of the gun. Good pocket, lofting to the sideline, and it is caught inside the 20. Darboh with his second nice all-in to move the chains with just 27 ticks left to go in the opening half. Give him 28 on the pass play.
Well, Shane throws another nice touch pass on the deep ball. Darboh is going to be their guy. He goes up, catches the football, but he beat Dennis Northfleet, who's surprisingly getting a little bit of action at cornerback, and there's definitely a height advantage there for Darboh.
Jed Fish said having a strong arm and spinning it well is fine, but you need to understand that that's not the most important thing. Reading coverages, going to the right guy, and throwing with touch. That was a nice touch pass right there by Morris. Deepest penetration for the Blue Club. And he'll throw for the corner, and it is caught! Touchdown! Jerron Dukes. Time we get to see a kicker today, Kyle Cycle. Now remember, no kicker returning with experience for this Michigan squad. Morris will hold it, and the kick is good. So number 7 helps Michigan put 7 points on the board for the blue team, and Tim Drevno, the blue team coach, is happy.
Michigan using the deep ball to run their 2-minute offense, and I like the call to go back to Dukes after the drop pass, and just knowing that Shane is going to put the ball exactly where it needs to be placed. But once again, you have Northfleet playing cornerback, so there's an advantage for the wide receiver. Duke stands every bit of 6'4", and he has the ability to go up and get the football. So Harbaugh's showing you right now, well, all these coaches, they're going to try to find a mismatch somewhere and stick with it.
All right, you covered wide receivers for a living. How important is that genetics, that height, that Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald type field?
Oh, it's very important. And if you're a shorter guy, you have to be very explosive. You have to be talented, like a Darrelle Revis, to be able to go up and get the football and play the taller receivers' hands whenever they go to catch the football.
Just 20 seconds remain in the half and almost intercepted. But a flag behind Alex Malzone on that toss.
Intended for Chase Winovich. Second and 10.
Holding against the Mays team. So Shane Morris on that touchdown drive, 2 for 3, 33 yards, a touchdown, but maybe more importantly, Marcus Ray, the ability to throw the football with a little bit more of a touch.
That is very important, Matt, because that's an area where he struggled in his first 2 seasons at Michigan. Yeah, he has the hand cannon. He can get the ball there, but can he put enough on it? Does he know when to take something off of it? Part of that is knowing your wide receiver.
Malzone will take a knee. They will concede the first half to the blue team. And it was interesting because the big play of the first half may have come on the very first play with Davion Smith picking up about 34 yards on the edge. Instead, the blue team able to stay close, and then in the end, a touchdown pass to take a 7-0 lead at the break in Ann Arbor. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. Michigan alum and national champ Marcus Ray is with us here in the booth on the Big Ten Network. Sue Ann Roback on the sidelines. Mays against Blue, and the Blue leads at 7-0 on a Shane Morris touchdown toss at the waning moments of that opening half. Jim Harbaugh's club playing in front of a very large crowd here at the Big House. Notice the hat. Notice the thinner Block M, much like that of Bo Schembechler. A lot has been made of that, but it's worth noting considering he decided to make that change. And another man who wore a similar type hat is Gary Moeller, and he's on the sidelines with Sue Ann.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, Coach and I were just talking about how many people are here, and it's just a beautiful day for it. That probably helps a little bit to get the fans in here. Why did you want to be a part of this year's spring game?
I just want, I just love being around Michigan and Michigan football, and you can't miss this. And on the opening day, I call it, for Jim and all that stuff. So it's really interesting and something you learn more about your players. What
have you thought of how the players have played so far?
I think there's some coordination that they need to get yet, and I would expect that going into this game. First time, that's why you do it. And even Jim made the quarterbacks live, which is a little gamble as far as injuries, but you got to find out what you have as a football team and know which direction you have to go for next fall.
Well, this is a fun day for everyone involved. We appreciate your time.
Okay, Suzanne. Thank you.
Gary Moeller, 44-13-3 as a head coach. He won 4 of his 5 bowl games, and he won 3 straight Big Ten titles as the head coach here in Ann Arbor.
Gary Moeller's a great man. I had the pleasure of playing for him my freshman year. He recruited me right out of Columbus. And honestly, the first 2-3 recruiting classes he put together in the mid-90s were the cornerstone of our 1997 national championship team. Not a lot of people talk about that, but he recruited the Brian Griese's and Glenn Steels, and then the class of '94, and then he even brought Tom Brady and Charles Woodson here. So he was a major player in that 1997 national championship team.
An eye for talent. Shane Morris starts this third quarter for the Blue. He played the entire first half. Just 161 total yards between the two offenses in the first half. Shulman to the outside, the leading ball carrier for the blue team. A late flag after he picked up about 8 yards on the carry. Let's see what the flag is on. Are you surprised that Shane Morris gets this first series in the third?
No, I'm not surprised. The way he finished that first half, you want to keep that type of momentum going for a quarterback, especially in a competitive situation. And it seems like the offense is rallying around Shane right now, something he needs. He needs confidence on every play and the encouragement of his teammates, because he has a dynamic arm. He's a smart kid. He just needs to play with more confidence and settle down, and it just takes more reps.
All right, the penalty on offensive lineman Logan Tilley-Tillman, who's anchoring the left side of that offensive line, and they like him at the tackle. He's a little bit more of your typical tackle, right? 6'7", 309 pounds. But if you get too much laundry on the field against you, you're not going to be in there very long. Morris, flush from the pocket, throws on the run, has a man open, but he overshot his intended receiver, Amara Darboh.
Morris's pass incomplete.
That's a big play, missed opportunity left on the field. That's a game-breaking play, and this offense needs those type of plays,
right,
especially when you're struggling on third down. But I was surprised Shane didn't complete that, rolling to his left, even though he was on the move. That was a pass that should have been completed. Darboh was wide open.
And you talked to me a little bit before today's broadcast and said in going to practices, that's what you're referring to with Shane Morris. Even though he's got that arm, that needs a little bit more air under it to allow his wide receiver to run under it.
You're exactly right.
2nd and 18 for the Blue offense. On the ground with Shulman. To the 20-yard line. Joe Bolden, another tackle. Bolden, the senior from Cincinnati, wears 3 and was one of the co-captains for the Mays team. It was Bolden and Kyle Kalis as the co-captains for the coin flip.
Two great choices. Bolden read the offensive lineman pulling on that play from the backside, and he got downhill. And that was an area of concern last year, was he didn't always hit the ball at the line of scrimmage or at the point of attack. He didn't break glass, and this year he's starting to do that. If this defense is going to be better, he's got to get downhill.
Broken up glass for 102 tackles, though, a year ago. Morris across the middle. He's got Jake Butt and a first down. That's what that big tight end delivers right there. Able to get into the seam and cause a mismatch and make a big play.
Well, it's not too many guys in the Big Ten that are going to be able to stay with Jake Butt in zone coverage or man-to-man there. But Jake knows how to get open and find holes in the defense, make moves on linebackers, and he catches the ball extremely well for a young sophomore tight end.
Second catch of the day, good enough for 16 yards and a first down. Shulman tried to go back across the grain, but Maurice Hurst was there and waiting for him.
You're going to see a lot of Maurice Hurst this year to add some depth to that defensive line. He knows how to play with his hands and defeat blockers in tight spaces. And that's what you want to see from young defensive linemen. But Greg Madison, who's one of the best defensive line coaches in America, gets a chance to work now with 3 and 4 guys at a time because he has Will Carr to also help pick up the slack at defensive line.
Second down and 11, and that's a position you need depth. You know, you're going to be rotating about at least 4 defensive tackles in a game, aren't you?
Yes, you are. And America watched the Ohio State Buckeyes win a national championship with their front 4 on defense. And defensive line now has separated the SEC from a lot of other teams, and it's starting to get the Big Ten back in the mix. But when you have a defensive line who can get a push, who can rush the passer without blitzing and stop the run, now you have something.
Ross Taylor Douglas on that last carry. Second carry of the day for him. It's 3rd down and 9. Morris across the middle. Jake Butt's got it again. Lunges close to the 45. It'll be shy of the first down. And an interesting call here. Delano Hill, another tackle. 44 at Mays has been pretty darn good today.
Yeah,
he's safety spot.
He's been good the last 2 months. And I'm not sure if he didn't have an injury last year, if he wouldn't have been in that starting lineup. But he's a heads-up player. He's physically gifted. He looks like an NFL safety when you look at his frame. And all he needs to, just like Shane Morris, is confidence and reps. But now with Greg Jackson back there instructing young Hill, it's going to be competitive between Jeremy Clark, Jarrett Wilson, and Jabril Peppers, and this guy, 44.
You get some athleticism back there. He'll play center field back there on a 4th down and 2 as the Blue goes for it. Good pressure and unload, and Carriage has got it and into Mays territory. Their first 4th down attempt is successful on the day. That's a big way to move the chains as they move it down to the 44.5-yard line.
Well, you see the play action. Slow the linebackers down just a little bit, but that's the Jim Harbaugh West Coast offense effect. Moore stands in the pocket, takes a hit from Lawrence Marshall, so he's showing you his toughness, but he put just enough air on that pass to complete it and get the first down.
Carriage had 7 or 6 catches a year ago. Twice as many catches as he had carries. Now Shulman for a gain of a couple. Ben Gideon in on the tackle, the junior from Hudson, Ohio.
Gideon is another guy, I believe, that's going to step up.
Why is that?
And help out. First of all, he's physical. He actually runs pretty well, and he's smart. He actually made a big hit in that Ohio State game last year. I mean, he's a guy, you know, he was a young player from Hudson, Ohio, but that linebacker position is wide open, and this is an opportunity for him to make a statement and say, hey, Coach, DJ Durkin, I'm your guy.
2nd down and 9. Deep drop. And another crossing route, this time off the fingertips of Jake Butt. Would have been good enough for a 1st down. And that's maybe one of those things right there. Jake Morris, a chance to step into the throw, instead throwing off his back foot just a little bit.
Well, you don't see these types of efforts from tight ends in the spring game, but Jake Butt's a different deal. He wants to make every catch. And as you study the play calling, when you really look at some of these routes, they're designed to beat man-to-man and zone coverage. So the quarterbacks have less to read as they take their drop.
Morris at 50%. He's got that 1 touchdown late in the 1st half. Looks off a receiver, throws, and it is almost intercepted. Should have been. It would have been Hill's 2nd. Really good job by Jabril Peppers to jump the route.
First time we've called number 5's name, but you want to talk about a guy who can do it all.
Yeah.
And he's going to play some nickel back. He should have made the interception. He just closed his eyes and didn't get his hands up. But that coverage was unbelievable. Tips and overthrows. Mama, there goes that man again. Delano Hill, he knows he missed an opportunity because that was 6 points. But it all started with number 5. He's going to have to make more plays if this secondary is going to be special.
When those guys are on the hash marks, at least for the Mays team today, when those guys are on the hash marks, it makes it really difficult to get the ball downfield in the center part of the field, as Peppers does his best Marcus Ray push-up imitation.
Well, yeah, I did a lot of push-ups in my day. I dropped several interceptions, but he's so disciplined. He's punishing himself for dropping that interception.
Malzone begins the Mays offense 3rd quarter start. A handoff to Joe Beneducci, the sophomore from Far Hills, New Jersey. Beneducci, Bobby Henderson, Joe Carriage, all in the mix at that fullback spot.
If you notice, man, Michigan is not a spread team anymore. They are lining up in a pro-style offense. Sometimes 1 tight end, sometimes 2. But they want to make a commitment to running the football. And Tim Drevno, he's going to find something that works, and they're going to stick with it. It's 2nd down, and they're lining up in I formation. Most teams in college football now have 4 receivers on the field.
Malzone will throw for it. Pressure comes up the middle. He throws it away.
Secondary for both teams, I think, have played well, with the exception of the deep ball that we saw earlier at the end of the 1st half. But as a quarterback, if nothing is there, don't force it. Give your offense a chance to line up on 3rd down, survive the down. Malzone, young freshman quarterback, got rid of the football. And we've seen in the past where when things broke down with the Michigan offense, some of the passes were forced, and then it just cost the offense the entire time.
Not the worst play, is it? No, I mean, just because you're not completing a pass and you happen to be throwing it away doesn't mean that it's a bad play. And that's a tough mindset for younger players to accept because they always want to impress. Malzone on a quick slant. It is caught by Ways. Just past the 15-yard line.
Malzone's showing you his poise. He's showing you why he's going to be in the mix at the quarterback position. Stands and delivers.
So they give it back to the blue team on the virtual punt. We welcome in Sue Ann Roback. She's got Helen Harding from the Alumni Association.
Hi there, guys. Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm here with Helen. And what was your first experience? You're a U of M alum. What was your first experience with the Alumni Association?
Yes, actually my experience started in school. As a junior, I was freaking out and saying I need a job. And so I wanted to connect with the Michigan Wolverine Network, which is over 500,000 people. So I went to the Alumni Association and volunteered, and in fact got a job through a Michigan connection. So it definitely helped me. And then I went through through a normal alumni stage, which is I got a job, I got married, I had kids, and then I became a life member because I said I want to be connected, I'm in this club forever, and it just made sense.
But what do you enjoy most about being a life member?
I love that I get to have the pride every day. They send me emails to share what's happening with alumni, what's happening on campus, and also through football, coming here and doing football Saturdays with tickets, the bowl games. So it's just, you know, the clubs. We have clubs all over the United States, 63 clubs. In addition to giving back, we can volunteer. I can give money to club scholarships. So I just enjoy being connected with the U, and this is my way of doing it through the Alumni Association. And if people are interested, they can go to uofmalum.com to find out more about the Alumni Association.
Now, rumor has it you were on campus just a few years after Jim Harbaugh was here as the quarterback. What has it been like having him back as the head coach?
Yes. Actually, Jim Harbaugh and Bo Schembechler were the reason I came here. I'm sure my mom's horrified that I say that, but we are the #1 public university in the world, so it's an okay plan to have. He was a senior in college when I was a senior in high school, but Jim is amazing. The alumni are so excited. The students now do #Hail Harbaugh. They do #Maize and Blue forever, so there's a lot of hope and a lot of excitement, and you know, he said, who has it better? Nobody. Our members have it best. We love it, so.
You can definitely tell with all the people here today. Helen, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
God bless.
3rd down and 9 for Shane Morris and the Blue Squad. A blitz comes. They pick it up, but Morris doesn't. Who else? Joe Bolden. He is everywhere, Marcus. I mean, if you're looking at somebody who's still in the spotlight, it's 35 in Mays.
Hey, this 35, son, in my opinion, knows this offense better than some of these offensive players. But that's the part of Joe Bolden's game he needs to continue to improve on, is getting after the quarterback and blitzing. When you have a linebacker who can drop in the pass game, play the run straight up, and then blitz when you call zone pressures, now your defense is going to be a lot better.
Boy, Bolden, you like how he used that leverage. Got low on a bigger, stronger offensive tackle. He gets low, gets underneath by dipping his shoulder, and still makes the play.
Sometimes you can teach that, and other times that's instinctive, but he did a great job of using a pass rush move. That's called a dip. That's called a dip.
On a Mays' turn, Alex Malzone under center. Davion Smith. Good carry, gets close to the 30-yard line. Remember, the very first touch of the afternoon went to 4 in Mays. He picked up 34. There have been no, count them, 0 double-digit yard rushing plays since Smith's first carry for either squad. That one picked up 8.
You have to give a lot of credit to the defense for tightening their bolts. Right there, that was an inside zone play, something Michigan hasn't shown. Offensive line went right, and that created a cutback lane backside.
2nd down and 2. Smith did a good job to cut across the grain. Little stutter step his way to get to the 35-yard line and a 1st down.
That's called vision, because the initial hole wasn't there at the left side of the line of scrimmage, so he cut it back because he saw a seam, but the backside guard pulled, picked up the extra man in the box defensively. And that's what I saw a lot of this spring, man, at these practices, was Jim Harbaugh was getting an extra guy at the point of attack.
You have to be able to run the football, don't you?
Have to.
Smith on the right side this time. Stood up, moved the pile a little bit, despite Chris Wormley being the first one there. You saw 52 for just a moment. 52 in Mays, Mason Cole, the sophomore. The first true freshman in Michigan history to start an opener on the offensive line. The second ever freshman in program history to start a game at tackle, the other being Bubba Paris, who won world championships with the San Francisco 49ers. But as a freshman All-American a year ago, even though he's 6'5", 287, some people feel like he's better moved inside. He might be the center or a guard on this team.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of versatility, potential, at least, with his size and the way he plays the game.
Very athletic, isn't he?
He's athletic. You know, he can block defensive end in the passing game, but he can also move down and play that guard, too.
He's so solid, though. Here's a little trick play. They're going to throw it, and wide open at the 35-yard line is Maurice Ways. Good feed from J.U. Chesson.
Well, when your offense is struggling and you need a big play, you lull the defense to sleep with the run game, you run a sweep, and now you come back, let Chesson throw the ball down the field. Maurice Ways, a local kid, he had a good spring too. You know, he's a taller kid. He can run. He's going to be an integral part of that offense too with this young wide receiving core. But I expect that senior safety, Jarrett Wilson, to get over the top a little quicker and see that.
He's got some size. Weighs at 6'3", 205 on the ground here. Him with Chesson with 6'3", 207. They had Drake Harris, Darboh, Dukes. They've got some size. They need the ball in their hands first. And right now, the Mays is looking for the equalizer when we start the fourth. Championship start in the spring. BTN Football Report. Spring Football Edition is your place for everything. Position battle breakdowns, discussions, interviews, and on-field action. It comes your way tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern on BTN and BTN to go. A fumble, and it's recovered by the blue team, I believe. Davion Smith turned it over. Chris Wormley and DeMonte Thomas in on that loose football. And Thomas comes away with it.
Take a look and see what happened here. Poor quarterback, running back exchange. You don't know whose fault it is. It doesn't matter because the ball's on the ground. And that's one thing Jim Harbaugh stressed this spring was protecting the football at all positions. Ball security is an issue. Matt, you stated -16 the turnover margin earlier, but give that blue defense a hand for responding to adversity after giving up a big trick play. Now they got the football back. So it's kind of bittersweet where you respond on defense, but you turned it over on offense.
8 fumbles lost a year ago by the Michigan offense. Morris begins the fourth with the blue team. We talked about the depth this team has been able to build. There's only 2 freshmen who are here early. Malzone, the quarterback for the Mays team. We haven't seen or mentioned Brian Cole yet. Brian Cole has been an awesome player so far as a freshman out of Saginaw, the #2 player in the state, the #9 wide receiver in the nation, and of course Tyrone Wheatley Jr. as a tight end adds a lot of depth to that position as well. He could have gone to a lot of different places. We've got some high-end talent without question as they keep it on the ground. They pound the rock close to the 34-yard line or so. Each quarter, by the way, 10 minutes, including this final stanza. Joe Carriage on that carry.
It's not surprising, Matt, that this blue offense wants to milk the clock a little bit, staying manageable down in distances, running the ball on first down and second down, and then getting into a third down where now the defense is guessing because once you play action and you get guys moving around, you can either run it or pass it.
So Ty Wheatley, who still owns the school record for yards per carry in a single season back in 1992. He averaged 7.34 yards every time he ran the football. Morris showing off his athleticism, but reaching out. He's going to be shy of the first down on third down. Nick Benda prevented it. Jake Butt didn't like this. No, he did like the spot. It looks like it's going to be, that's going to be really close. So the 38. Needed to get to just past, I think, the 38-yard line.
That was a quick release by Shane Morris. That's a timing route. And if you throw it on time, then you should be able to get what you're looking for offensively. But back to Tyrone Wheatley for a second. We played together in Oakland for the Raiders in '99 and 2000. But he was one of the major reasons I came to the University of Michigan, watching him play. I mean, I left Columbus because I wanted to play with Tyrone Wheatley. And I watched guys like Jim Harbaugh do his thing in the 80s. But Tyrone is a dear friend. He's a great coach, man, and look for some great things. And he has been nothing but a powerful, positive presence for this Michigan team, but especially at running back.
Yeah, I saw him a year ago in Buffalo calling Detroit Lions football. And he was, of course, part of the Buffalo Bills staff with Doug Marrone. I've seen him before. He was a member of the Syracuse staff as well. And I agree. I mean, he has a great impact on student athletes with his positivity. And I would say this, too. Arguably, one of the greatest athletes, all sport athletes, the state of Michigan has ever produced. Not just a football player. He might have been just as good, if not better, as a track athlete.
Don't get me wrong. But I'm hearing Tyrone Wheatley won this state track tournament by himself. He scored enough points, I believe, and he's the reason.
Incredible hurdler.
that you can only do 4 events now.
So a virtual punt after Jake Butt came up just a little shy of the first down. Of course, Jake Butt got up. He signaled first down, didn't get it, then wanted to go for it. But players don't always get what they want, do they?
No, especially in that area of the field. If you go for it and don't get it, then you lose the battle of field position and you set the Mays offense up for an easy score.
I am a little surprised that they have gone with just the 2 quarterbacks so far in this scrimmage. It's 7-0 Blue. The touchdown came just before the end of the first half, and that quick slant from Malzone was thrown behind J.U. Chesson.
Jared Wilson, senior safety out of Akron, got his hands on the football. And that's something you're seeing more of, is Michigan defensive backs getting their hands on the football when it's in the air. And that's a testament to the coaching of Greg Jackson, Mike Zordich. They work as a tandem.
And former Wolverine Ricky Powers, since that was his high school coach. Right?
That's right.
All right. Why not spread the love? 2nd down and 10. Green runs into a blue wall. Might have picked up 1.
You can see this offensive line is doing a little bit of zone blocking now. In the first half, they did more base blocking where you block down and you pull a guy from the backside. So you can see this is still essentially a practice or a scrimmage.
Sure.
So they're both sides of the ball are working on things, and especially in just basic fundamentals, blocking, footwork. You see Harbaugh still in the mix. He hasn't left the field.
3rd down and 8 for Alex Malzone, the freshman. On a slant to Norfleet, he's got it at the 31-yard line, but shy of the first down. Every offensive lineman in this Michigan program measured against some of the greats. And one of those greats is with Soanne Roback. It's John Jansen. Soanne?
Thanks a lot, guys. A lot of familiar faces down here on the sideline. What have you thought of what you've seen so far today?
Well, I like the intensity. You know, Jim brings a certain sense of competition. The things that guys got to do, they got to earn their right to be on the field. And I think from what I've seen and heard about spring ball, everybody out there right now has earned that right to be out there.
We were even talking about how the defense seems to be ahead of the offense, and you're saying that's no need for concern at this point.
No, that's pretty typical. Anytime you have a new system, defense is more reactionary. You know, they're going to react to the quarterback, react to the ball. And offense is more scheme. So there's a learning curve that's involved, and especially up front, you know, those guys got to learn new blocking schemes, new ways to work together. So that'll come along, and they've got plenty of time between now and fall camp.
What does it do having Jim Harbaugh as the head coach? Because it seems like the fans have really embraced it, and there's an excitement here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's everybody. There was an excitement even before he came back. So just having him back, having a guy that has a connection to Bo, has a connection to all former players, obviously being a former player himself, and then a guy that's had success as a coach. You know, he had success at Stanford. He's had success at San Francisco. So why wouldn't he have success here again?
That's what everyone's hoping for. John, we appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. Go Blue.
Everyone's talking about the impact of Jim Harbaugh, and rightfully so. I don't think we should sell short the fact that he has a great impact on bringing some of these coaches with him. By the way, also very successful at the University of San Diego. Started at Western Kentucky as an unpaid assistant coach, then went to the Raiders as the quarterback coach before the University of San Diego, Stanford, San Francisco 49ers, and now here in Ann Arbor. And by the way, he could spin it, throw it, and win.
And he can run it.
Didn't shy, confident Big Ten Player of the Year, right? All Big Ten first team, Heisman Trophy finalist, finished 3rd in 1986, and All-American there. And actually, in 1985, as a junior, led the nation in passing efficiency.
And he was a triple option quarterback, too. He's very versatile. He could do it all.
Good player of the Bears and the Colts, too, at the next level. 3rd down and 9 for his blue team. Good pocket for Morris, has all day. Big arm, downfield. Oh, just out of reach. Amara Darbo, the intended receiver from Shane Morris.
That ball was 60-plus yards in the air.
Tight spiral, too. Well, but DJ Durkin, remember, and here's Jim Harbaugh's reaction. DJ Durkin said they're picking on Dennis Norfleet. Dennis Norfleet, not usually a corner.
Not usually a corner, but because the rosters have been split up, there's not a lot of corners on the roster to fill both teams. So now Norfleet's a two-way player.
Right.
And fatigue could be setting in. We saw him catch a slant pass last possession. And as a former defensive back, if they keep taking you deep, you're going to run out of gas. If they keep running the vertical pass and throwing it, you're going to get tired.
By the way, not a better dancer during warm-ups either.
Oh, no.
Than Dennis Norfleet during the Motown songs, huh? Jim Harbaugh does that. He's implemented that here. I don't know if people pick that up. Now zone chase from the pocket. Keeps his eyes downfield. He'll run for it and get back to the line of scrimmage. But Jim Harbaugh wants Michigan-based bands, acts, and their music played here at the Big House. So thus, we saw a number of Motown songs being played.
Yeah, you and I were up here moving and grooving.
No, I wasn't. I was watching you, though. You're still right on your feet. No, I'm lead-foot. You're like, come on, let loose. I said, I'm trying.
No, Harbaugh is all about Michigan. I mean, he's about bringing the community together, the fan base, the former players, alumni. He wants to make Michigan football important and relevant once again, and playing those artists in the stadium is another way to do it.
Now zone throws and incomplete. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh also struck up a Twitter conversation, or tried to anyway, with Madonna, Judge Judy.
Yeah.
So he's with
everywhere.
it. He's with it, yeah.
Well, he's an enthusiastic guy, man. You know, he's fiery. He has a young spirit in him, and he just loves being around the game, and he couldn't wait to get to practice. But he knows what he's doing, and he knows exactly how to get this program on everybody's minds, once again.
And you'll notice the subtleties in what he does. And I'll give you an example of that here in a moment as Malzone goes forward on 3rd down and 12 across the middle and just off the fingertips of Chesson. But when you look at Jim Harbaugh, when he was in San Francisco, everybody talked about the khakis and the hat that he wore and the pullover. The Sharpie in the middle there used to be red in San Francisco. It is no coincidence that it is blue here.
And it's going to stay blue. It's going to stay blue. He bleeds blue, and he loves the Michigan program. And when you go back to that last play, in the fall, I won't be surprised if that pass is completed, because this is a scrimmage, and it's all about timing. And those passes were dropped a season ago, and Michigan lost some football games. When they go back and watch this tape, they're going to evaluate everything. They're going to find out who their players are, who their top-end guys are, and they're going to have them on the field. I expect that pass to be completed in the fall.
Morris remains in under center. He and Malzone have played the entire way. Backside pressure, the throw, and it's incomplete.
That's the type of play call you want to see on 1st down from Tim Drevno, because you get the defense going one way with the play action fake. Then you get Shane Morris rolling to his left. He's a left-handed quarterback, so that's an easier throw. He opted to throw the intermediate route, but when he gets coached up on tape, the coaches are going to say, check it down to the closer throw, so that they can get something out of 1st down.
Drevno said, look, we don't play a game until September 3rd in Utah. There's a process to this. So we got to take our steps. Got to keep working hard every single day, and he's doing that with this offense as Morris works out of the gun and keeps it and lunges close to the 40-yard line. Now, we've seen Morris, we've seen Malzone as well, but remember this: there are reports that Jake Rudock is leaving Iowa. Once he graduates, the senior can go where he wants for that final year of eligibility, and many people believe it will be right here. 6'3", 208-pounder, 34 touchdowns as a starter at Iowa, was beaten out for that starting gig a year ago. And don't forget, there's Zach Gentry, who's the number 4 rated pro-style quarterback in the country out of New Mexico, who wasn't able to get here early, like Alex Malzone, like Brian Cole. And then eventually the transfer John O'Korn from Houston, but he wouldn't be available to play this coming fall. 3rd down and 3. It'll be a 1st down for the Blue Club as they get to midfield. A slant to Darbo and a pickup of 11.
See Shane through that slant. with less velocity. He and Darboh know each other. They've thrown and caught passes for the last couple of years. He knows his receiver, and that's a man-to-man beating route because the blue offense is expecting man-to-man coverage from from the Mays defense on third down. But that quarterback competition this fall is going to be very interesting, and it has not been interesting, I would say, in 10 or 12 years. Because Chad Henne walked in as a freshman and started, and then they passed the baton and so on and so forth. But this year is going to be a true quarterback competition.
Well, I'm not sure how interesting coaches want it to be. They love one guy to seize the moment. It's sort of like a goalie in hockey. You'd like one guy to seize control and ride that guy out because in sports, certain sports, one guy can make the difference. The goalie, the quarterback, or an ace on a staff of pitching.
Man, I coached for 10 years, 4 high school, 6 college, and one thing I learned in recruiting is you recruit as many quarterbacks as you can just to get one. Right. And you do that every year because if that guy goes down, you better have another. And when you don't have a signal caller that can keep your offense going, then you might be in trouble.
Ask Red Berenson about the goalie situation. I mean, he didn't like playing, you know, musical chairs in net. His team was, you know, one of the top scoring teams in the nation. Now, Michigan is a team that we saw with Tom Dienhart when we were talking him earlier. Here's their schedule. They'll open up September 3rd. That's a Thursday night, by the way, at Utah, a team that came into this building a year ago and beat Michigan. They were physical. They were strong. They beat up.
Just pushed them around.
Yeah, pushed them around. And there was that long rain delays, too. You get Oregon State out of conference, UNLV, and BYU. It's a little bit more competitive non-conference schedule, so kudos to the Wolverines there. The bye week comes, depending on how you look at it, at a good spot. Going to Minnesota is not easy. Jerry Kill's done a really good job, but Michigan State and Ohio State are both at home, unlike a year ago.
That's going to be a tough schedule this year, especially with the new quarterback.
And especially with the talent in the Big Ten, as we've already discussed.
And you have to travel out to Happy Valley the week before you play against the Buckeyes.
And a third-year starting quarterback, Christian Hackenberg, who's a very good player.
How many teams have 2 Pac-12 conferences in their non-conference, conference teams in their non-conference schedule? Think about that.
With Utah and Oregon State.
Utah and Oregon State. And then BYU, they're physical. They're going to run the football.
No doubt.
They're going to come into this stadium expecting to win. Michigan and Jim Harbaugh have to make the Big House an intimidating place to play, like it used to be. There are teams now that walk in here and they see all the facilities, they see the Jumbotron, and they get excited, and they play with a chip on their shoulder and feel like, hey, Michigan didn't recruit me, so I'm going to show you what I had.
Wolverines 5-7 a year ago, 3-5 in Big Ten play, and just not good enough. Here's the new era that Jim Harbaugh has brought in. Just some of the new ones. DJ Durkin from Florida, Greg Jackson for the San Francisco 49ers. Tim Drevno is here, of course, as the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach here with this squad. So a lot of experience at different levels. And you and I were talking about this. Players who come here, they look at the staff and they say, hey, Ray Madison was the defensive coordinator with Ray Lewis, for crying out loud. Jim Harbaugh with San Francisco and some of the other. They look at that and think, these guys know how to get me to the next level. That's really important to young kids, isn't it?
Oh, that definitely helps. Because believe it or not, regardless if anyone wants to admit it, a lot of these young players come and play college football because they want to play at the next level. And when you know you're going to be getting coached by professional coaches, guys who are proven, guys who played the game. Talk about Zordich, played a long time in the NFL. He coached in the NFL with the Eagles. So
Fish, yeah,
Fish, Wheatley. I mean, this staff can go across America now and start hand-picking guys the way Michigan used to.
Mike Zordich right there, defensive backs coach with Greg Jackson. Jackson, by the way, also played 12 years in the NFL. On his own on a quick curl route to Freddie Canteen.
I'm surprised Michigan didn't run more timing routes, curl routes, just like that earlier.
Here's our United States Marine Corps leader of the game. It's Shane Morris. 11 for 24, threw for 135 yards. He had that touchdown toss. Did have the one pick, but he did lead Blue to its only score, and the only score of the game so far. Malzone tripped up shy of the 15-yard line. Tripped up by Chris Wormley.
I'm not surprised.
David Dawson, excuse me.
I'm not surprised that Shane Morris is the player of the game because this is his third season, third offensive coordinator. He has the most to prove out of everybody. Because when you've been here the longest at quarterback and it's not your turn, you're still fighting for your job, you have to play with a chip on your shoulder. And eventually, young players grow up. And that starts with reps and experience, and most importantly, coaching. Now you have Jim Harbaugh in his ear every day, watching film, breaking takedowns, studying defenses. Shane Morris, if he ends up winning this job, it would not surprise me. And that includes with the Iowa potential transfer, Jake Rudock.
Even though he's played a lot of games in Big Ten action, and Shane Morris really hasn't. Jay Harbaugh, part of this Michigan staff. By the way, Garrett Miller made that last tackle, not David Dawson. Both wearing 55. Dawson, a good-looking offensive line prospect for this team. Malzone wants to throw. Curl route, keeping everything underneath so no one goes over the top. Brian Cole made the catch. There's the freshman we were talking about, the #1 wide receiver in Michigan. And Jim Harbaugh said great demeanor and work ethic, a high character guy. And all the reports from the weight room for him have been great. Not good, but great for the 6'2", 200-pound freshman. Canteen on a curl route, grabs it shy of the 25-yard line. A first down with a little bit less than $1.50 to go in the game. And the Maize team currently with the ball trailing 7-0.
You see the timing routes. They're in a 2-minute offense right now, so they're going to throw shorter, quicker passes.
Canteen, good grab at the 31. Onto the ball inside, it was thrown outside. He reached back and caught it for a gain of 6.
I think there are 3 positions on this football team that are going to be very competitive. The quarterback position, the wide receiver position, and safety. There's a lot of depth there, and all those guys are about the same.
Malzone, another throw to Canteen. To the 36, should be enough for a first down. Stops the clock with 55 ticks left. A gain of 5.
Well, this is an opportunity for Malzone to show his poise and to show he can manage a game in a critical time. They need a touchdown to tie this ball game up.
Looking left, now he'll run with it. And then throw out of bounds to stop the clock. Malzone, the #3 player in the state, the #1 quarterback in the state, where he won 3 state championships at Birmingham Brother Rice. In his career, threw for over 6,200 yards and 69 scores. Doesn't have the size of a guy like Zach Gentry, per se, or even Shane Morris, but tough and a good arm. And a smart quarterback, too, as evident by that last throw. This is 2nd down and 10. Far sideline, caught by Canteen outside the numbers. You want to get out of bounds right there, don't you, Marcus?
Yeah, Canteen's a young player, needs to understand when you catch the football in a 2-minute situation, you find the sideline right now. Stop the clock, save your timeouts. Now they just have given up 10 seconds off the clock.
You also save your down so you don't have to clock it. And now a flag on the play. That's illegal motion against the offense. That's what happens when you get in that hurry-up offense. If you're not used to it, on occasion you'll have somebody jumping. And here's the earlier touchdown. Morris, good touch on that entire drive that he displayed, and then connecting with Jerron Dukes.
Shane needed that.
Kyle Kalis. So Kyle Kalis, the guilty infraction. A 10-second runoff on the play. That leaves Michigan with just 6 seconds to go for this Maize team to try and get an equalizing touchdown here. Malzone. And quickly out of bounds. Chesson with no time left. Let's see what Jim Harbaugh decides to do here. Is Jim Harbaugh going to call it a day, or is he going to put some more time on the clock? He is the commissioner of this game, remember. DJ Durkin, Tim Drevno were the head coaches today. And it sure looks like a conclusion to me. Well, we'll get a final thought. Marcus Ray gives us his idea on how things went, and we'll talk to some folks on the field when we come back on the Big Ten Network after this. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. Spring game goes to the Blue Club thanks to a 7-0 decision. Shane Morris with a touchdown pass to Jerron Dukes at the end of the first half was the lone scorer of the day. Jake Butt was pretty active from his tight end position, had a couple of catches, and helped the winners to the 7-0 win, and he stops by with Suann Roback. Suann?
All right, thanks a lot here with Jake Butt. How much fun was this for you to get out here and play?
Oh, it was such a great time getting to compete with all the teammates and everything. I woke up this morning and it felt like game day, so this is about as close as it can get to a fall Saturday. It was a great time to get out there and compete, and of course it's even better when you win.
We all know that Coach Harbaugh really likes to use his tight ends. How do you approach that, and how excited are you for that possibility?
Well, I'm really excited. You know, we got a great group of guys in the tight end group, and I think we got a great opportunity this coming fall to go out there and compete for spots, compete for catches, compete for blocks. It's going to be a great season for us.
You've been through other spring practices before. How has this one been different under Coach Harbaugh?
You know, we just come out here and we compete every day. We always talk about creating an environment of competition. That's what he's really done. You know, everyone's competing for that starting spot. And then, you know, with the spring game like this, it really shows how big of a competition everything is.
Well, best of luck. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Suann, thanks very much. There goes Jim Harbaugh, signing a few hats, signing a few footballs, and he'll talk with the media here in a moment. But Shane Morris, our player of the game, Marcus, and a guy who led Jim Harbaugh's Blue Club to the win thanks to this touchdown pass.
Well, Shane Morris is trying to separate himself from the rest of the quarterbacks and get a leg up in competition going into fall camp. I thought he threw the deep ball a lot better today, putting touch on passes. Now, there were some intermediate passes that may have had a little bit too much heat, but Shane Morris is playing with more confidence, and I think he's proud that the blue team won. He led them to victory.
Not just our player of the game, but also stopping by with Suann Roback. Suann?
All right, thanks a lot, Shane Morris. How much fun did you have out here today?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, you know, being able to finish up spring ball with the game against, we have 2 teams, and it was just a lot of fun, and really enjoyed being out here playing with my guys.
And you were able to have the only score of the game. Talk about that play, and it really seemed like you had things going in the right direction, especially on that drive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the 7-0 game, it shows how great our defenses are, and they just did really well all day, and you know, it's hard to score. But, you know, into the last play, we had a bigger receiver, Jerron Dukes. I threw it up for him, and he went up and got it in the touchdown. It was a great play.
We've heard so much about the quarterback competition. Everything is about competition with Coach Harbaugh. How are you approaching that? Because it seems like there are so many quarterbacks on this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's competition. That's what it is. I mean, even if you're the starter, you're still competing for the job every single day, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going out there, working as hard as I possibly can, going 100% in every drill, every rep I take, just trying to be the best that I can be, trying to get better. And learning from Coach Harbaugh is awesome. He's a great coach, and I'm just trying to soak up everything he has.
That's awesome. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, Marcus, if you're not into competition, if you're not ready to compete for some minutes in a starting job, this is the wrong place for you, right?
Definitely the wrong place to be, because their head man, Jim Harbaugh, is all about competition at every single position. And Shane Morris today got the best of the competition, in my opinion.
Well, there's a lot of wide receivers in the mix for a lot of playing time as well. Amara Darboh is one of those. The senior from West Des Moines, Iowa, is downstairs with our own Suann Roback.
All right, thanks a lot. Omar, I've talked to some of the other guys, and they're saying it's just fun because you're actually getting out here after all those practices. Same for you?
Yeah, it was exciting to be out here and compete. We were all excited for this spring game because we knew we were going to split up. We had the draft. Coach Harbaugh did a nice job of getting us all motivated for it, so we were looking forward to it.
What has this spring been like for you? Because we hear so much about how Coach Harbaugh is making everything about competition. Is that really what it's like with drills and practices and all of it?
Yeah, that's what I feel like it's like. I feel like you can't take a day off. Every day I go out there, practice, try to get better. There's still things I need to work on as today's scrimmage showed, but we're getting better as a team, and I think that's the most important thing.
So what are you looking forward to most between now and that season opener?
To just get better, get in the playbook, and then just come closer as a team, and then get ready when it's fall time.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Guys.
Motivation, competition, that's what it's about, isn't it?
That's what it's all about, and that's what both of these teams showed today. This football team is still in practice mode, and they're going to get better. But I like what I saw from an execution standpoint defensively, except for the couple of deep balls and the one long run.
Darboh and Jake Butt leading the blue team in receptions with 4, and they win it 7-0. When we come back, the head coach, Jim Harbaugh, discusses his first spring practice as the head coach in Ann Arbor. Stay with us. 7-0 blue team over the Maize team in the spring scrimmage here on the Big Ten Network. Shane Morris with a touchdown pass at the end of the second quarter, the lone strike. Why? Well, because Joe Bolden of the Maize team was everywhere. He led everybody with 13 tackles, a sack, 3 tackles for loss, and then caught his breath with Suann Roback.
Thanks a lot. Joe, we were just talking about what a beautiful day it is here. How much fun did you have going through this game?
Oh, it was awesome. Obviously a little disappointed that the Maize team lost, but you get a love coming out and playing football, and not only playing football, but playing football in this stadium and in front of everybody. You know, it gives everybody a little taste of what's coming in the fall, and really it kind of satisfied, at least for a little bit, that thirst or that hunger for a little football.
You mentioned the Maize team lost, but you have to look at what the defense did as well. Really good performance by the defense. You seem to be all over the field. Were you pretty pleased with the way that you played today?
Yeah, I would say the defense, I mean, obviously there's some improvements. I know I was out there a couple times, and it may seem perfect, but it's definitely not. And just overall, I think the defense has played well. I think you saw a lot I think we might have more turnovers in this game than we did all of last year. So you see the ball getting punched out and intercepted, and you see guys on defense flying around.
What have you learned during this spring practice? You know, all these different practices in Coach Harbaugh, because we hear that it's a lot different than how it's been in the past. What have you taken from it?
Intensity. Obviously, the intensity was here in the past, but the intensity, the focus on detail, and really the willingness to come out and play football and play the game you love every day. The coaches love coaching it. The players, we love playing it. And like I said, I mean, it's an amazing day to play some football.
Well, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys.
Yeah, he was everywhere, Marcus. I mean, you got to just love that kid's attitude. And he's going to have to step forward and be a leader for this defense, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have to be, especially with the departure of Jake Ryan onto the NFL. But I think Joe Bolden showed some improvement in his run defense, his pass defense, and most importantly, blitzing, because DJ Durkin wants to get after the quarterback, and it's going to take linebackers to do that. But I thought that the blue defense as a whole had the advantage going into it when you look at Countess, Jordan Lewis, and Wilson, DeMonte Thomas, Wormley up front, and Willie Henry. I thought the defensive line was amazing.
Royce Jenkins-Stone, yeah.
Royce Jenkins-Stone. So when you put this all together and you look at number 35, he was on the Maize team, and sometimes they split you up to test your leadership. They did the same thing in 1997. They split us up, and you could tell the way things were broken down, certain guys were going to be tested, and I think Joe Bolden answered the call today.
Evident by the only man with double-digit tackles on this sunny spring Saturday afternoon. Michigan's blue team beats the Maize team 7-0 on the strength of Shane Morris's touchdown. A lot of folks here in attendance. What they took out of it is up to the individual. We do know this. A lot of people are thirsting for Michigan football. That'll wrap it up here from Ann Arbor. For Marcus Ray, Suann Roback, our entire Big Ten Network crew, I'm Matt Shepard. Coming up at 3, it's men's lacrosse. Penn State.